enduring, it's a year ago, and we're enduring a plague.
Yes.
And we're all inside.
Yes.
And
that's also true.
Spring is turning into summer, and there's this extremely egregious cop murder of a black man. And people are justifiably upset, but also, and I'm not trying to sound snarky about this, but also we've been inside for months, and the protest against him was a motivation for getting outside and connecting with other people and being near other people. I completely understand that. But what then happened?
How dare he say that? How dare he say that? Can you imagine a white man saying that? Oh, what a racist.
Yeah, it'd be unthinkable, unimaginable.
Happened around June of 2020 was proponents of what used to be the obscure school of thought called critical race theory saw what was happening as an opportunity to try to make their way of looking at things have more purchase than it had before. And they found in America uniquely poised to listen to what they were saying. And what they ended up doing was not, say, making their case as, say, a Kimberly Crenshaw would. You know, I'm not saying that there should be no critical race theory. I think critical race theory should be at the table. But you got a certain kind of person who decided that what they were going to do was exert a reign of terror where if people don't agree with you and start refashioning their institutions in the image that you suggest, then you're going to call them terrible names on this thing called Twitter. Very few people are up for that. And so people started buckling under. And so what we're seeing now is not change in people's attitudes as much as a reign of terror. And I don't see that as the fringe. I see that as the core of what's been going on.
I mean, I would respectfully object to the term since no one's at the guillotine yet. But
as someone who's under the reign of terror right now, he's like, well, of course, what? No reign of terror.
Right. But I think part of the issue comes back to what I said, which is that I don't think Chris Hayes or many of these other like liberal journalist elite types, they're not going to be swayed by the tactics argument. And that's why you have to make the goal argument. Or say, well, look, Chris, what do you think the world would look like if critical race theory got its way in America? And then when he tells you, say, well, you're wrong. That's not what it would
totally.
be. It would be communism. It would be the destruction of democracy. Because, and I'm not just making this up. Here's the critical race theory textbook that everyone points to, and it literally says that they don't believe in incremental change and they don't believe in liberalism. Okay, so I don't know where, you can't even fight against this. They're very open. Critical race theory texts are very open about this stuff.
Yep.
But thank God, right?
No, not physical. No.
No. I mean, I actually find like people often playfully will deploy the guillotine on social media as like, and I'm like, as like edgy. And I always think that's actually quite gross.
Yeah. You don't want to minimize. Yeah.
But that actually gets to the other point of it. Like to the extent that you're saying about the George Floyd protests, which, there was a bunch of things happening at once. And I think it's undeniable that people being cooped up in their houses. It was the first big thing.
It's inevitable.
Inevitable, right? Yeah, that's human. I also wonder how much of all of this is just like in quantifiable statistical terms, the sheer amount of speech in every direction has expanded by a mind-boggling exponential amount.
Definitely.
It's just the case that we used to have most of our speech, 99%. I mean, I would say 10 years ago, 99% of all speech to maybe 99.999999999% of all speech for all people in American society was effectively private.
Exactly.
And now, like, half of it's public.
Oh,
and
yes.
so it seems to me like the excesses run in both directions, right? Both the kind of like Twitter castigating you're talking about and this kind of like, this, what I will admit, some of these sort of mobbish circling of people, right? And then also people's saying awful things. That all of this is like, it's almost like a statistical inevitability, right? Like we just like start massively expanding the amount of speech we actually put out into the public. Suddenly we're going to be bumping into these speech problems all the time.
And also because of there being so much public.
So, this really bothers me. Chris does this thing. He's very talented at it, where he sort of takes a milquetoast position where he kind of agrees with you and then disagrees with you, but it's like in a very not obvious way, which makes it so unless you're like hyper fixated on it, it makes it so you're not going to counter in the conversation, and the conversation just keeps moving forward. And so if you're listening, it sounds like there's an agreement when there is actually a huge disagreement. Because what Chris just said was, actually, I disagree with you completely, John, because I think what's going on is that there's just, because of social media, there's just so much speech everywhere. And that's why it seems like this speech policing is going on, which is, I would argue, is a completely stupid, wrong point. Completely not at all what's happening.
You don't
Public
think
speech is just telling us.
it's I agree with that point a bit, that like the volume of speech is kind of creating the environment for this to happen. Like
the volume of speech is creating the environment, but he's taking it a step further. He's saying the reason that people are concerned about all this cancel culture stuff is just because the volume of speech has reached a level it's never reached before.
Right.
So Chris is basically saying,
no.
All this, he's making the same argument he made about the kids looking at the N-word in the law school. He's saying all these feelings existed. It's just you never heard about it.
That's bullshit. Yeah.
Which is bullshit.
Yeah. The social media is facilitating it.
Yes. Right. Exactly.
But it's not responsible.
He's saying
for it.
that we're claiming that social media is like more a causation. And he's saying, no. Just it always existed. You just didn't know what's happening.
Right.
A class today that so much changes in about 2013 or 14 in that sense, when social media acquires this real power. One of the things that is going to be public is people being called names. And so it isn't, say, Maud, to use a TV character, talking in her kitchen to Walter. Instead, it's that you're going to be called these names on social media, and that scares a lot of people.
We know this is bullshit because Twitter existed for a while. Okay. The woke stuff on Twitter is recent in Twitter's inception. Twitter's been around for I don't know, since when? 2008?
I thought it was 2007.
2007. And so you have like from 2007 all up to like 2013 or maybe 2012 even. It's like totally fine. People are saying crazy shit. Like there's a Twitter account that's called Kyle Kalinski's Old Tweets.
Oh yeah, I know that Twitter account.
And all it does is it shows Kyle Kalinski's tweets from like pre-2016 where he just says like
bonkers shit
stuff that you would find funny,
right?
But would be considered completely cancelable, would be considered completely racist and sexist by today's standards, by the 2016 woke standards.
2006, Facebook in 2004, MySpace in 2003.
And so the fact that all these social media platforms existed for so long, for over a decade, before this stuff happened, disproves the notion that, oh, no, this, as soon as you, because Chris is making the argument that as soon as you have social media, that's what, it's just people being able to voice their opinions. Like, no, that's not what happened. The culture did change. People realized that they could leverage claims of racism and sexism as a weapon against
over the internet.
This is this is what Gamergate was about, and that's why I made that video about. It was leveraging, it was institutions leveraging the cudgel of sexism to get people to shut up,
right,
and to just accept something.
Yeah, I mean, I blame the algorithms a bit because they had to play a role in this. Like the
algorithms just promote whatever is popular.
Well, whatever is incendiaries, whatever gets the most attention. And so obviously the incendiary stuff is going to get the most promotion.
To their socks. People don't want to be called names in public. And yes, it's inevitable. I mean, once you have Twitter, that sort of thing is inevitable. The kind of name-calling person, the mobbing kind of person is probably a very small percentage of what humanity is, but they are going to be there. But they're
wrong, John. That's what most of society is. Most of us desire to join the mob.
That's right. You got to fight.
So
you got to fight it.
I know, but it's fun, Sitch.
No.
Come on.
Fight the NPC.
No.
Be an individual. Have free will. Hack your mind.
BreadTube needs us to mob them. Sitch. Join the mob with me. It'll feel good.
Never.
Come on. Do it.
We got Emperor friended over here.
Join
the dark side, Sitch. Do it.
Do it. Come on. Shared outrage.
Power is therefore inevitably going to be disproportionate. And therefore you have this, I won't call it a reign of terror, but you have people who are pretending to subscribe to certain ways of doing things because they're very, very afraid, as they tell me directly several times a day. That really does disturb me.
You're ascribing a nefariousness to this that I'm having a hard time.
Not actually, no.
I mean,
no, I think that these people who are terrorizing people, frankly, they're sincere. They mean it. They truly believe that they are doing good. They feel.
But it is nefarious. You got to admit, like the situation becomes nefarious.
Well, and I disagree. Some of it is, yeah, I'm sure some
My
of it is.
God,
people...
the Nazi fucking prison guards thought they were doing good.
Right.
Jesus
right.
Christ.
But I don't even agree with what John said, because yes, I'm sure some people, they think that they're fighting racism, they're doing good. But a lot of it, as I said, a lot of it comes off to me as people realize that they can get social media presence, that they can get power by leveraging these claims of racism and sexism. And so of course they're going to use it to their advantage.
They know they're literally doing bad, but they're still going to do it anyway.
Yeah, of course. People are shit.
Why would I?
People suck.
Come on.
They're always going to take advantage of any tool they can.
Well, especially when status is involved in this.
Right.
Status is what we're all trading here.
Exactly.
It's sad.
Feel that they need to treat people this way because in the grand scheme of things, they're creating what they call social justice. They really believe that. I don't think they're evil.
Right. And that opprobrium and shame subjected on people is essentially the price of progress because
exactly, yeah.
Because what they are doing is
wrong.
They are, by doing that, they're moving the boundary, and that boundary is in the wrong place, and they want to move it in the right place.
And there's no other way. Yeah, that's what they believe. I literally do not see these people as I don't see them as Robespierre's even figuratively. But what they're
I completely disagree. There's so many Robespierres running around. That is so incorrect.
Yeah.
Doing their idea, they say social justice and they think they're saying justice. It's kind of like if you say advanced planning, but you could say planning. They think their vision of social justice is justice. I think they're wrong in that, but I can imagine being them and not stopping to consider it. But nevertheless, what they're doing, I still think needs to be checked.
When you
I'm trying to think of one person that actually buys into this shit and is sincere, and I can't think of one. I can't think of one person.
Ibram Kendi and Robin DiAngelo. I think they're true believers. They believe this nonsense.
Oh yeah, I'm just thinking in the social media atmosphere.
When you talk about critical race theory,
anyone?
It's again I think part of the problem is that John really needs to conceptualize for Chris what the tangible harm here is. Chris just can't see it, and John's not really, and maybe John doesn't know it. He's not really verbalizing it because he's just, get people getting fired is bad, but then Chris just says, well, break a few eggs.
Yeah. We're winning. What are you going to do? We got Trump out of office. Shut up.
Right. That's right.